Hey guys, I'm Props, and today I'm making an AEP7 Laser Pistol from Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go through and print out all the files that I have for this. I just split the thing up into 3 pieces, and all of these should fit on a small printer like an Ender 3, which is what I printed it on. Once that's done, just lightly sand all the connection ports and everything should just slide into place like this. I just used some super glue to glue everything together, and then I went through and applied some Bondo to fill in all of the layer lines. You could go through and put on some filler primer and stuff just to fill in the smaller print lines, but Galactic Armory actually said that it is more cost efficient just to go through with a large tube of Bondo and use all of that up instead of going through 2 or 3 coats of filler primer to fill in most of the small ones and then still using about half a tube of Bondo to fill in the larger imperfections. You can use acetone to smooth out the Bondo after it's dried just a little bit so that you can get it a little bit smoother and don't have to do as much sanding. After the Bondo is dry, just go through and sand it with some sandpaper. I'm using 120 grit sandpaper, and since this is such a long sanding process, I figured I'd do my Patreon plug right now. So if you guys don't mind checking out my Patreon and supporting me through that, it allows me to make better videos, and plus you guys get to see behind the scenes content and see my videos a little bit earlier. After the Bondo's dried and sanded, I went through and applied just 1 layer of filler primer, and then I went through and painted it silver with some Krylon metallic silver paint. This stuff gets really close to looking chrome. It's just almost there, and it looks really great once it's weathered up just because it's got a really nice shine. I then painted the green just using a brush, and then I went through and painted the handle using some airbrush brown paint, just because airbrush paint typically has a higher pigment than normal acrylic, so I only had to do 1 layer of this paint on it as opposed to the 2 or 3 I would have to do with just normal cheap acrylic paints. You guys can use whatever you choose, but I feel I get a little more bang for my buck with just normal airbrush paints as opposed to acrylic. After all that paint had dried, I hit it with a clear coat and then went through and did a black and a brown wash over this. I just used some black acrylic paint that I mixed half and half with water, and then went through and brushed it on all of the surfaces of the gun. I let it dry for a few minutes before going through and wiping it off, just so that most of the paint sticks in all the recessed areas instead of wiping away when I wipe it away with a towel. I learned this after weathering my Mud Trooper helmet. I didn't realize that if you let the paint sit, it would give it a more realistic look, so I'm definitely going to do that when I weather my props more heavily like this one. I also mixed up some brown paint and did the exact same thing, just wiping it off selectively to give it a really nice rusty look. And then I went through and put in a yellow wire. It was actually a black speaker wire. I just spray painted it yellow, and I put it through all the tube fittings that are printed on this. You may need to use an X-Acto knife just to hollow them out a little bit better so that the tube slides in a little bit. And yeah, overall I'm really pleased with how this gun turned out, both the model and just the painting and everything. I think it looks really nice, and if you guys want the files for this, just check out the description. I did wipe away some of the green paint just to give it a little more of a scuffed look, and I think it turned out pretty good. If you guys want to see more videos, be sure to like and subscribe, and let me know what stuff you guys want to make so I can either model it or go through and hand make it. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next vid. Bye.